Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers from 3 countries, 2 continents, and featuring 5 guys separated only by the same language. Here's your host, Richard Morley.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is and wherever you're listening. Join with me as always, Mr. Chris Q.
How you doing?
Mr. Joe Whitaker.
You're right, Sam, yeah.
Jamie Page.
You all right?
And also...
He sounds so damn excited, doesn't he?
It's going to be good, yeah. Eeyore. Also... Oh no, I've completely messed this up because my iPad is not muted. So bear with. All the way from across the pond, we currently have 2/3 of the Maybe I Said Too Much podcast. They're probably not going to say too much because Izzy is currently, well, we don't really know what's going on. He was here, then he wasn't, then he's here, now he's not, and hopefully he will be later. So we'll just see how it goes. And I think that is how the whole episode's going to go. Is it not, people?
Yeah, I texted him and told him we were just kidding about the donkey porn thing. He can leave it on. So he
Hi guys.
So he said he'll be right there.
That's a taster of what tonight is going to be.
Yeah, that absolutely is. And I've not even got through the long-winded intros, but I'm going to try my best just to pretty much ignore Mike and just crack on with it. Yeah, so everyone, wish me luck. So this week's shout-outs and thank yous, just very quickly, we have from last week, Turning Works, Pete's Bunker Handicrafts, Mark Christopher the Blind, a wood turner, Matt from the Badger Workshop, Cross with Ellen, Harnell Media, and Jim Dockrell. I'm also going to say, because I can this week, which I think is quite cool. Just a quick shout out to some of the people in the live chat. So a huge welcome to, and I apologise for missing anyone off. So we've got Crosscut Creations, Rob's Workshop, Pete's Bunker, Wood Barber, Red Smith. There's loads of you in here, and it's actually quite nerve-wracking and a little bit worrying, but very surprising. We love it when people get in touch on the show, and obviously interacting in the live chat as well. So thanks for that. This podcast, as always, is brought to you in part by Yorkshire Grit, the wood turner's abrasive paste. If you want to find out more information about this good stuff, go to yorkshire-grit.com, and also a very good friend of ours now, after Maker Central, Chad, over at Mancrafting, because we are still giving away one of his mugs. Are we not, Jamie?
Yes, we are, Richard.
Do you know actually when the next one is?
I believe Chad is going to be sending some more over to us at some point. I don't know. I haven't actually spoke to him about it yet.
Excellent. So as soon as Jamie gets his haul of Mancrafting mugs, he'll no doubt want to give them all away so he's not tripping over them every 5 minutes in his tiny little workshop. But yeah, that's all good. If you want to find out more about our sponsors, then go to the website, makersinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors. Chris, do we have any random list of questions? I think we're going to have a few random comments from the panel, but
Actually, we do, and I had it here somewhere. Hold on a second, let me find it. Oh, right, here it is. It looks like more of a statement than a question, but anyway. Hey guys, love what you do. We also love Joel and Izzy, but what the hell are you having that laughy guy on again for?
It's supposed to be my mother.
Signed. Signed everyone.
Good old mom.
Thanks, Mom.
P.S. Please don't encourage him to do that YouTube thing. Thanks. Okay, that was the question. So you know why? Because we love Mike. Mike is a sexy beast, and if you don't believe me, ask him.
Oh, and the best part is, even if you don't love me, I love me enough for all of us. So,
with or without pants.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make a note of that answer because I really want to remember that. That was a good answer.
Don't worry. Make sure you don't forget.
Excellent.
And I love you enough until that arm starts aching and I go to the other arm.
So the answer to your question was, Richard, no, I really didn't have a question this week, but it was time to bust Mike's balls, so I just figured it was, I'd go for it.
That's the best you got, and you're going to be crawling underneath that hat of yours.
Well, I didn't. That was actually I didn't actually plan that, Mike. I mean, so it was just kind of an on the spur moment thing. Anyway, so yeah, that's all I got, Richard. I'm sorry, I apologize. So we got to talk to these guys now because Izzy hasn't figured out how to use the internet in a Hangout yet. When he accomplishes that, it's like
making a Wi-Fi antenna out of his CNC machine and his Viking hat. He'll be back when he can.
What was it Mike said before we started? He was like, you can give Izzy a couple of logs and he'll build you a shopping mall, but if you give him a computer, he's lost or a hangout.
It's their quivering.
You gotta know man's strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
But we do expect Izzy to join us at some point again today. I mean,
he'll be popping in, just momentarily. So this is kind of how our show goes too. If you ever wonder why Izzy goes silent for long stretches, it's because he's not there. His internet connection goes up. Just a little behind the scenes info for you there. But so
yeah, I listened. What was it before? I knowing that you guys were going to have us on, I listened to your podcast, the last episode you put out, and for a long stretch there, it was just you and Joel talking. And I was like,
"This is why."
Okay, I was wondering. I was like, is he just not interested, or did something happen? It was like, okay, that's why.
Oh yeah, you just me and Joel are texting each other, just going, "Hey, we'll just keep going," or we're like, "Nah, just keep going." I'll add some grunts from previous episodes.
Izzy's actually by far the most respectable member of the crew, and when Mike and I get on whatever roller coaster we're on, he tends to shut down a little bit. Mainly so that he doesn't, get burned at the stake like we will likely be.
It's a little radioactive.
Is this kind of sort of Izzy's disassociation point where he says, "I don't want to be part of this"?
At least he has when the court case comes up. At least he has some deniability, right? Yes, I associate with him, but I wasn't part of that.
Yes, and there's no video evidence like this. We wouldn't be so foolish.
We'd never record it.
No. Was he briefed on it being video? Did he think it was just audio? Is that why?
Oh man! But since we have here, let's talk about your podcast, guys. Because I absolutely love what you guys do. I love listening to your episodes. And Joel, I think it was just doing the podcast was initially your idea to start it up, correct?
Yeah, I hit up Izzy and I said, "Hey, all these other idiots are doing it. Why can't we?" So, and Izzy's like,
"She said, yeah, Chris Cute has one."
Yeah, that's true. I was like, God, if that man can do it, anybody can. So yeah, I said to Izzy, I said, hey, we could probably do this, talk a little bit about the business of making, like the actual making money side of making. And then we brought on Mike, and we started doing the show and quickly realized that while the business of making is interesting to about 4 people, we couldn't shut Mike up. And by then it was too late and we couldn't do any, like it would be just really rude. And by now we're just used to it. So we still talk a little bit about the business of making and production and things like that. But mostly we talk about our crazy life and some of the troubles that I think relate to some other people when we're allowed to talk. Otherwise, Mike talks about whatever he wants on it.
You're welcome. That's how we managed to keep those 14 strong. Our core listeners, we get at least 14 downloads. Sometimes somebody shares it with a grandmother or something, and we get 15. But we
15 in an angry note.
Well, and part of the thing is we decided the idea initially was, okay, we're going to do a podcast around the business of making. And I was like, all right, well, that's 3 shows, and then what do we do? It's basically the conversation we had. And then it just got to be more, we're makers, but, we're a lot more than that too, which is the case for everybody. Nobody's one thing. So if we just talk and, we'll come up with ideas from time to time about what we want to have the show be about. But for the most part, really just what pisses us off that week is basically what makes the show.
To be fair, though, we do talk about a very specific topic every week.
We do.
We do. We've talked about the benefits of particular types of clamps and fine thread versus coarse thread screws, and I'm sure a number of other things.
I heard that, and I'm not sure I agree with your summation on that, Mike. I mean, you said coarse screws all the way.
It's just a conversation. That's all. You're allowed to disagree. Yeah, I've gotten a little weird on the last couple of shows, just talking about some really deep kind of weird personal stuff, and then like right before I edit it and put it out, I'm like, I'm not really making this like something that's going to be on the internet forever, am I? And then there it is. So
then he releases it to the wild.
Hey, there's your partner in crime. I wonder if
hey, is he?
I can hear you.
Awesome. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. I was just talking.
We're about 15 minutes in. We can do the intro again though. Go ahead, real quick, if you don't mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
You gotta get the 3 welcomes in there.
Yes, it can't be one welcome. There's 3 of us.
I'm fashionably late, and all because it took me 15 minutes to figure out that my speaker wasn't plugged in.
You'll notice that me and Joel don't have a surprise look on our face.
Yeah, right. You guys are used to it.
I'm just glad it wasn't my fault.
Yeah,
This goes back to what Mike said originally. Give the man 2 logs, he'll build you a shopping mart. Put him on a hangout, and you get freaked out.
You give him an oak tree and some duct tape, and you'll have a log cabin. But you give him a computer, you can't get him on a hangout. It's
No, that's not fair. I work my way around 3D modeling and CNC software really well. So
we had to
everything
get
else
you a microphone on the side of your face so that people could hear you. Don't you dare talk to me.
Well, that's
how good you
that's
are.
That's because the one I had before just sat in one place, and I don't sit still when I talk. So
Yes, I'll slap you for your lies. Don't you even start.
you're
We were
such
talking.
a tease.
Izzy, we were talking. We had just got started talking about the genesis of your podcast, and Joel had mentioned that you guys originally had the idea of doing your show with the intent of doing a show about the business of making, as opposed to just kind of a general thing. And then you invited Mike to join on, and all hell broke loose, and that went.
By the way, Genesis means beginning.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the Genesis was definitely Joel and I talking about the business of making, and Mike screwed that all up.
You're welcome.
Definitely.
Congratulations, Mike.
Hey, you could have picked any of the other 22 guests that you had listed before me.
That's true. Mike was our 23rd choice. Everybody else declined.
We're in prison.
Or we're in prison. Or weren't old enough yet. So
Apparently, you
So
get
there's that.
podcasts from the penitentiary or the playground. So they chose me.
But don't worry, Mike, you weren't our 24th, and we're proud about that.
Yeah.
I got that going for me.
24th person was British.
There's no way they got that low.
I think it was Nick Zametti that told you that Charlie the Maker, it was past his bedtime to do the podcast before he got the mic. If you guys are familiar with Charlie the Maker, that's Nick's son, and he's like, I don't know, what is he, 9 guys or 9 years old?
Yeah,
or something?
he's not. No, he's probably 10
12
now.
Oh, okay. So
is he 12?
I think he's 12 now.
well, okay. Well, yeah. That
Charlie's a cool cat for sure.
Yeah, he is, and it was just I just wanted to kind of verify that he was asked before Mike was to join your podcast to do it.
It's a good thing I love being hated. Like coffee for me.
Oh, you're so good at it, Mike. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Right on. So whose genius idea was it to invite us onto the podcast?
Is that what we're doing here? Does this actually get published for people?
Yeah, there are people out there actually watching this.
Live. People have actually been putting some kind of questions together. But the first question that we had was from Dom in the chat asking, "What's your favorite cheese?" So you can kind of guess the kind of people we got watching.
Favorite cheese?
Yeah.
Definitely
That
Limburger.
stuff that grows between your toes.
Limburger is my favorite.
Limburger.
Really?
Oh
You
my
went
God.
with Limburger.
That's
Thinking about
you've
you was
got
gross.
to be kidding me.
then feta, and then smoked Gouda.
You just did a Google search for cheeses because I just did. And those were the first 3 answers.
No,
Went straight for the stinky cheese.
I can't. If it smells like feet, I like it.
There's
There's fetishes for that.
So maybe this podcast has gone on too long.
So, yeah, hey, by the way, you can Google that too. the foot fetish, but it takes you to a much weirder place.
Did the 4 of you guys make it to Maker Central, or was it just the 3 of us, or was there anybody else that didn't get to go besides the 3 of us?
It was just you 3 that didn't get to go.
Yeah.
Not just in this room. I think just everywhere. I think you were the only 3 people that didn't go. Out of everyone.
Saw the pictures. That's all right. There was a couple people there I was trying to avoid anyway, so it's all good.
Interpol.
Interpol.
Well, there's our topic for today. Izzy, so who was it that you want to do? Just kidding. No, it was actually it was a good time, guys. And I'm sorry you guys weren't able to go there because I know you would have thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I've met Joe. I think I met all three of you in Atlanta like 2 years ago. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Joel actually I met at the airport because he was picking up Berkey and I think Jackman, and he asked me if I wanted. He asked me if I wanted to ride, and I told him I didn't want to ride with those other two guys. But that's
that's a reasonable answer.
It looked amazing. It looked absolutely amazing. I am really sorry I couldn't go, but when I was 19, I robbed a bank, and apparently it makes it a little harder to get your passport. I didn't realize it was going to be that big of a big deal.
I mean, come on. I mean, you were 19. Why do they hold that against you?
I know, right?
I mean, they're insured. That's all right.
You guys think I'm joking?
No, I know. No, I don't.
You know this goes out on the internet.
I don't think you're joking. I didn't want to go there.
It was a long time ago, so.
So we're not that famous.
Yeah. Right,
well,
exactly.
To be fair, he didn't rob him for the money. He really likes those little Post-it notes and the pens, and they're brutal when they start racking up those charges.
How do you get the pen with the chain on it off? That's all I want to know. Tell me, and I'll put the gun down.
He made the thing. Yeah, he made the thing out of plywood to do that.
Yeah, you walk in there, you just scrape the little base off the bottom, or he brought in some naphtha and just loosened it up and took it out. It's like,
yeah, that's all. He just wanted the answer to that, and then because he's a tinkerer, and then they put him in jail for it. It's
no, I didn't go to jail. I was never in jail.
I'm making all of this up. I don't think that you went in there to talk about the pen with the chain on it. I mean,
right. True story, you guys, and this never leaves this podcast.
Please don't take it right now.
You do know this is live on the internet, though, is it?
Yeah, right. I was 19 years old, just turned 19, fairly inebriated at the time, and I broke a bank window. I literally broke a bank window to steal a Elvis Presley bobblehead out of the window.
Did you really?
No. Well,
I just love this story. I love this.
No, I know what you're getting for Christmas for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And they held that against me. I mean, come on, really?
I just wanted Elvis. You were probably with a girl that you were trying to impress, weren't you? You were.
I was.
Yeah,
I was.
Okay. Yeah. That's how men's downfall begins. There was this girl. Okay.
There was a girl, and there was Elvis.
That seems, that's all the crazy moments in my life seem to start with this girl I was with.
Wanted an Elvis bobblehead.
Well, don't worry.
I
was just going to say, don't worry. It's just us and the rest of the English-speaking world that are going to know that little secret of yours. It'll be absolutely fine. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, this is your most downloaded episode ever.
I'd like to say that's the dumbest thing I've ever done, but that would be a total lie. So,
We'll go with the dumbest thing you've ever got caught for.
So, what's your favorite
actually
cheese?
make it to the UK, don't take it to amusement arcade. If this is
Mike,
the coin pushing machines.
Did you just call back to the cheese question?
Yes. What's your favorite cheese again? Lindbergher.
What's your favorite cheese?
I want you guys to know that I was
salmon in a Parmesan factory. That's what it would taste like.
I was preparing for this podcast all morning. I was listening to David Gray, so I figured that qualified me to hang out with at least three of the gentlemen here. So.
Hey kids, don't rob banks.
or if you do it for the money, not the bobbleheads.
Your getaway car should have 20s flying out the window, not parts of an Elvis bobblehead.
A little secret.
Already got one on the dash.
Because, in all honesty, the cliche actually works. The crime should fit the punishment. If you're not going to steal a couple million, then you probably shouldn't do it.
Punishment should have been you locked in a closet for 5 years. Love me tender. That would have been you'd never have taken one of them freaking things again.
Yeah. Now you know what to call your podcast. Is you robbed a bank?
No, don't please don't do that.
Don't tempt me. Don't
Please don't
tempt
do
me.
that.
Izzy
I
robbed
Google search find my name with that. I just can't.
But then again, maybe they just said too much. It's like okay.
We kind of came up with that name because, like, to use it as an excuse, like we could get away with a lot more things because of the name of the podcast. Like, who's going to give you a hard time when you be like, I mean, it's called Maybe I Said Too Much. You really should have been paying attention. But
right. All right, Izzy. Izzy, I just want you to know that whole mental picture I got, I'm sure, and because I know him well enough, has Jamie Page already working on a photo of you, of you dressed in an Elvis costume on a bobblehead.
I've already said ages ago. The only pictures I ever do of Izzy is of Shrek.
I'm going to take animation classes just so I can make a cartoon, a reenactment of this.
I seriously want to see an Izzy head on an Elvis bobble. Going, yeah, baby.
I can see Izzy, like Izzy's in an Oldsmobile, right? Because of course he is, and he's got the Elvis bobblehead on the thing, and he's firing his finger like a gun, going, "You'll never catch me, copper!" Like, no sleeves, like it's the greatest thing in the world. There's no way I can think of anything else from this point forward. So really should have saved that to the end.
Sorry.
So Joe, any more questions?
Well, as you can imagine, what the chat is basically only talking about, all I can see is Elvis Presley constantly.
Elvis in a Viking helmet.
Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to rail us here. That derailed us soon into the podcast.
This is where it should have gone.
Get used to it hanging out with us.
Well, it's. I just think that's an awesome answer as to why you didn't make it out to the UK. Well, because I stole an Elvis bobblehead when I was a kid.
Well, I tend to put
unique.
Yeah, I tend to put things off till the very last minute. So about 3 months, a little bit less than 3 months before I went to get my passport, and you can imagine all the fun that arose when I had to figure out what was going on. But and I can still get it. It's just going to take. There's some things I have to do to get it in.
Getting your record expunged is one of them.
No, it's not as bad as that. But
do you have to go in front of a judge and say, "I swear I won't steal any more Elvis bobblehead dolls"? Because if you do, I'm getting the transcripts.
No, actually, I don't. No, there's some paperwork and stuff I have to do. So, yeah.
Are you saying the Queen wouldn't let you in? You couldn't get a visa?
No, I'm saying they wouldn't let me leave. They were like, "We don't want him over there representing our country."
I think it was more like, "No, we're keeping an eye on you. You're not going anywhere, buddy." It's like,
it's because the nodding bulldog popular over here, so we need to keep them safe.
Something. I can't be the only one that can't get over the phallic nature.
That's right, guys. If they ever let me in England, over there in the UK, hide your bobbleheads. That's all I got to say.
I can see the advert now. The Churchill on the back seat of the car. His head. No.
Oh yes.
This is getting dangerously close to the royal wedding. Let's move on.
Moving on.
There was actually quite a sensible question out in the chat, and it surprisingly come from a Canadian. Jim Dockrell. Jim Dockrell wants to know why Izzy's table is phallic shaped.
It's a lamp. It's actually a lamp. There's a light bulb
laying there behind you.
No, the table.
The table.
The table, not the lamp.
Yeah, the table.
You do know that we know the difference between a table and a lamp, right? Like,
it's a lamp with a table.
The whole thing is a lamp.
Yes. Well, the table portion of it looks a little
penis.
The bulge at the front.
Little male.
It kind of does. It doesn't if you look at it right. Great. Thanks for that image, guys. I'm not going to be. I'm going to be staring at that the rest of the time. Like,
I'm trying to figure out why your hat is on its balls.
Well, it was either what Jim suggested, or I figured that was maybe one of Bill Lutz's bearded dragons. I didn't know because it kind of resembles both of them if you think about it.
Right, we've actually got a real question.
Never ever going clouds. What do they call cloud watching with the Grots group? No way.
Right, we've actually got a real question now. It comes from Steve from the Fools with Tools podcast. He wants to know in a raw Steve.
Mike, he's just being rude, Jamie. Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
He doesn't really have a question. He just wants us to say the name of that terrible podcast. But go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah. He said, in a Royal Rumble, who would win between Makers International, Maybe I Said Too Much, Reclaimed Audio, and Fools with Tools?
It's not even close.
We'd come in dead last. I can tell you
Our
that.
podcast, first of all, just from a mass ratio, I take everybody at the same time. So,
Yeah, I'm with Mike on this. If we just do it by pounds or kilos, depending on your nationality, we've got all of those beat. And I don't even know who the rest of them are. So sure.
yeah, I've heard Steve's name, but I think he's like 13 inches tall or something, according to his pictures. I'm not really sure. So,
What'd you say, Joe?
Me and you can go for their ankles.
Yeah, we can go. Yeah, we'll be biting ankles. So
Chris and Joe are like Jack Russells that biting at the ankles of Rottweilers.
I'm still seriously figuring out how I can physically float Joel Crawford over a woodworking show somewhere. I mean, after the
I think Izzy would pick me up like a baseball bat by the ankles and just start swinging me through the crowd.
Mike, don't talk about your love life on the air.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to say that we've tried it before, but you know.
I'm going to make a vague attempt to sort of steer us back in any direction really, any other direction. One of the best things. So
may the odds be ever in your favor.
Well, I don't know about the odds. I don't think we're going to play that game at all. So you're about what 50 episodes in now? Is it something like that?
Actually, we have to record the 50th one next before tomorrow night.
Okay, so 49 and a bit.
I hope it's better than this one. Go ahead.
Jesus.
We'll go with it. We'll practice run. You know, that's fine. So after 50 episodes, have you noticed, like within yourselves, a change in the dynamic or how you sort of are compared to how you were in the first couple of episodes?
Well, we wear clothes now.
Sure.
No.
Really, kind of the answer. I was thinking more. I mean. It comes across as you know each other, you're friends, and blah blah blah. But do you find that you've relaxed into it a lot more, and now you're willing to talk about bank robberies and willy-shaped tables and all that sort of stuff?
You didn't give that nugget to us on our show, so
that's kind of what I was sort of alluding to. I mean,
talking to after this episode.
I'll give you the serious answer before they jump in. So the answer is yes, and we have found that it's almost a weekly requirement that we have to call each other. Now, we talk with each other often throughout the week anyway, but it's almost kind of like a therapy session, I think is an easy way to say it. So once a week, we talk about whatever's coming into our brains that day, and we become very familiar with each other's lives and families and temperaments and everything else. So it's been a fun experience. It's also been challenging because you have to learn. And we don't do video chat. We don't. Technically, it doesn't help us to see people because there's delays. There's some issues with that. So we literally just talk like we're all talking on the phone. So it's a fun podcast to do every week. I couldn't imagine taking a week away from it. And the difference between our first sets of podcasts to now they're completely different. Just night and day different. In the audio quality is different too. I mean the whole process is different.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. I mean, in terms of the sort of the dynamic and the sort of being comfortable and the rest of it. I mean, we sort of started always doing the video. So you record yours purely audio, don't you? There's no video at all. Mm-hmm. So potentially
we don't even run it for each other. So we're not even looking at each other when we record it.
No, we sit down. Literally audio.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So,
there's
a benefit to that. Because you literally have to, you can't really wander. You can't look at things in the background of like Chris's, I don't know how many gold records he has from no name bands, but I'm going to count them now. So, or penis shaped lamps. So you really do have to sit there and you can't, everything you do there can't be any visual cues. There it is all about the words spoken. And so there's kind of this weird, I don't know, it's a very intense thing. Like audio wise, because you have to, like, there is no inside joke. Nobody's winking at the camera, or giving each other the finger. We have to do those things with, I'm going to regret saying this, with our mouth. So
yeah, you're going to regret that.
I'm gonna skip over that. The only thing and I agree with Joel on that. The only thing I would say is that the only real difference that's taken place over the evolution of our show, when we first started off doing this, we had a format that we were going to try to stick to on some level. Like let's have a topic, and, we'll take questions and us, and we kind of figured out, it's that's fine and it gets you kind of started, but it's just having sort of a natural conversation is really where you find people, and where we found some of our, most of our fans have come along. Yeah, I say fans, it's ridiculous to say that out loud, but most of the people that listen to us regularly, especially in the last couple of months or so, I've been getting a lot of feedback from everybody, just, hey, you guys are really opening up and talking about stuff that I really relate to. I'm sure somebody relates to dovetails and the intricacies of cutting them, but not as many people can relate to, hey, my daughter's a pain in the ass right now, and what do I do about it? So it's that's really the only thing that's, as we've gotten more comfortable, and we've realized that my human resources department hasn't found the show yet, then we can kind of open up a little bit more. So but yeah, that's probably the biggest difference, is that there's the format's been thrown away, and because I don't, it's not fair to say that we've gotten closer. I mean, we have gotten closer, but I've always had a lot of love and respect for both of these guys. I mean, Izzy's one of the first people I found on YouTube. His corner clamps video is one of the first things I ever liked. It's kind of funny when I see him pop back up from some suggested, because that was one of the first things. And Joel, before we did the podcast, I met him in Atlanta, and he was just, everybody that went to that knows he's just such a wonderful dude. So I don't think there was any. I'm not sure that there's the respect and the love hasn't really grown much. It's just we've just kind of gotten more comfortable talking with one another. Is really more. So
that's
anything.
And that shows. And by the way, Joel, that's the Eagles Hotel California, and that's Lenny Kravitz. So I don't know about the whole no name thing, but anyway, I have.
Do they do podcasts too?
No,
Who are they?
They don't. So yeah,
who are they?
Do you want to plug their YouTube channel while we're here so they can get a couple more followers?
That's the yeah. You can find them on YouTube under the Eagles and Lenny Kravitz. Anyway. It's become really apparent with your show, guys. Because I've been and I don't like the word fan either, Mike, because I'm not a fan of anybody. You say fan to me in the world that I came from, and I'm picturing a 14-year-old girl screaming over the New Kids on the Block, and that's just not. I don't
even know what's happening in my brain right now. Go ahead.
But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, you guys really have you've opened up, because you've done some I have no better way to say this except to say meaningful, at least on a personal level. You guys have covered some topics that have hit home, and I think you to be congratulated about that, because you've done several episodes that I've gone, wow, that made me rethink a few things. So awesome. I mean, great job, guys. I mean, seriously, your idle chat about Mike's sexiness is not wasted upon the masses. I mean, it is.
It's never wasted on me, by the way. So just throw it.
The show itself is kind of an open format, and so if somebody's been thinking about something, somebody's been having something bother them, we usually take about the first 30 minutes and talk a little bit, and before we start recording, and we kind of get it's often that we get a general gist of where we're at. I don't know how to explain that, because we don't sit down and say that this is going to be a topic, but like everybody, some days I'm not feeling all that jovial, and some days Mike is feeling a little bit thoughtful, or sometimes, amongst other things.
I'll pretend I don't hear anything nice you say about me. But
right.
Please continue.
But there are times, like we were just talking about the vacation aspect, where I can't figure out how to take a vacation to save my life, because I always feel like I need to be doing 50 things. Mike just talked about a number of issues that are we've gotten probably the biggest response to, which were very personal, very appropriate, I might mention, because it's now out in the open, and there are people that respond to those things because it's touched them, and we've gotten on some wonderful conversations with people about some trials and tribulations that they've had, and comparing them and understanding that there are kindred spirits out there. We all like making things, and we all kind of have that mindset. But you know what? 90% of our other life is still humanity, and we talk about that side more than we talk about our making.
Yeah, we become the Maker podcast for your heart. And I mean that.
Oh, I like that.
I mean that. No, seriously. And hear me out.
All right, where's Al? Al, we need a T-shirt. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, no, we have.
Please
We
don't make
really
that
have,
t-shirt.
and in large part due to Mike and Joel, because of that. But our podcast is more about life and humor and kind of with Mike especially. He's not afraid to dig into it, and he gets into some of these things that are just. They're soul touching. I mean, that's all there is. That's the only way to put it. And so we've become this kind of podcast, this dynamic that goes from one podcast where we could be from start to finish, just nothing but giggles and ha, and those are the ones I like to go back and listen to. And then we get into the next one might be some kind of just really profound, deep sense of emotional value that comes to light, like again, large part thanks to Mike and Joel, because I'm like a freaking ice queen over here. I don't share much,
Except that you like bobbleheads, and that's cool.
Do you think that kind of opens up the podcast to sort of a wider audience that's not necessarily maker orientated? I mean, was that intentional, or did it just happen? Or
no, everything we've done has been as natural as it could possibly be. I mean, we literally have no plans. We get on the phone and say, "Hey guys, how you doing?" You're going to press the request. Kind of the funny thing about the beginning, we kind of just gibber back and forth about the buttons on. It's because we really don't know what's going to happen next. We have no clue. So that little button on has become, hey, our buttons on has become kind of our little 5 seconds of. Now we're doing this. We went from the pre-talk to this is the show, and now we're doing this. So it's kind of, for me, it's almost become a little bit of, it's like, stretching your voice before a song. You just, that little bit of 5 seconds just kind of, sets the precedent.
The precedent.
Oh, yeah. We are now live, and that I should stop swearing as much
We don't do anything. Yeah, there's been nothing really intentional. I mean, for me in the last couple of episodes, and it's the last couple of episodes has kind of gotten me here, but I did this a couple of shows throughout sort of the podcast where there's just some things that, they're not things I really want to say, but sometimes I feel like, somebody will send me messages and say, "Hey man, I'm checking into therapy, for 20 years, I didn't know what was wrong with me. But you talking about it on the show is kind of let me understand that, there might be something here that needs fixing, and it's like getting that message just sort of out of the blue. The next time I get on there, like if the conversation is, and the conversation doesn't really steer that way. And you can actually hear me like going, I can't believe I'm getting ready to talk about this, like,
right.
Before the show, but it gives me a little bit more courage to say, hey, here's some things that happened to me as I was growing up. And here's some really, tragic stories from my childhood. And here's some things I learned from that, because knowing that there's somebody that's listening that might benefit from that, might take something to heart and might even improve their life in some way. I got a message from a guy who's like, my father was an asshole to me, and I wanted to be better for my own children. And, and listening to your show, I realized that I've just become the father that, my father was to me, and here's my kid. And, I've been neglecting him and not paying attention. And, now, I make sure that since I listen to this, I go and I sit with him on, we talk, we go over, and I'm trying to be the father I wanted. And like that type of stuff, just,
it's killer.
It gives you courage. I mean,
you're hitting home with a lot,
right?
Yeah, you're hitting home, and it's because first of all, you sharing it is number one, very admirable. But but by the fact that you're doing that and knowing that you're not alone, and that there are other people out there that will understand and recognize what you're talking about is awesome. And I think that's one of the things I like about your podcast so much, is because you guys don't actually plan to do something. And the benefit of that is that it helps keep you guys very current. And whether it's current in, your current personal situation, or current about, events that are happening. You guys are able to attack that without having, because if you had like the next 3 shows planned about what you wanted to do, you wouldn't be able to do that. But you guys actually just turn the mics on and go for it. Yeah,
well, we don't even know what day we're going to record most of the time.
That's true.
It's like
we
usually
really,
it's like, hey guys, I got to release this tonight. We're going to have to meet at 10, so I can have it by 11.
I need to get this off my show because
we don't have rules. I mean, we have a couple of guidelines. We don't really want to talk about religion or politics because both of them are boring.
Yes.
In every way that
And
something can be.
in every way, and causes nothing but decisiveness.
And they're nobody's business. So keep your religion and politics to yourself.
Exactly.
Right. So
I'll talk
pretty
to you
much
about it. Just I'm not doing it on a show.
So it's one of those things where whatever we're feeling, however we're talking about the item that's up, maybe it's talking about a gathering that we had, maybe it's talking about some trials and tribulations of what we're going through at work, or whether it's personal items or things like that. We get the chance to sit down with 2 people that maybe not experiencing the exact same thing you are, but certainly isn't far off. So it's a matter of having that kind of brotherhood of somebody that you can talk to and trust. And again, and we say this on the show, if nobody listened to the show, we'd still do it. It wouldn't matter. We'd be here for the next 40, 50 weeks, and we'd be looking around going, yeah, maybe we got 6 downloads this week, and we got 7 hate mails. So
Good ratio.
It's a good ratio. So it's we'd still do it because it's just come to that point where we now kind of depend on each other, or at least I feel that way.
Well, and it's nothing, and nothing is intentional. I mean, it's that, we haven't thought through any of this stuff for the most part. I mean, it's one thing when you do this, kind of talking, I don't want to say talking for a living, but, talking for sport or hobby, it's, you kind of realize that people are all pretty much the same, right? It's, there's things that obviously make everybody different, but I mean, the underlying, thing is just kind of, there's very little that's different about people's concerns and thoughts and all these things when you really kind of boil it down. We all react to things differently, but the underlying stuff that we're all thinking about is, similar. And to me, I mean, I find a lot of humor in that stuff because, some of the things that we all think and we don't say is ridiculous. Like it's, like if I asked all you guys, like what percentage of the internet is, pornographic by nature, you would all think the number is way higher than the actual number, right? Because everybody's just weird that way. So,
well, no, I think it depends on how much.
People don't talk about that stuff. Why? Why is it? Why is that not how that's for conversation?
Well, no, it's just that if somebody says, I think it's like 90% of the internet, then you just know
exactly. Everybody thinks that it's more, but
you just know where that person happens to spend their time if that's the case.
I was going to say, a percentage of your part of the internet or the internet as a whole, including everything.
That's kind of
pictures of Izzy with no sleeves.
We should put that down just to kind of qualitate people. It's like, how much of the internet do you think is devoted to porn? It goes 90%. Yeah. Okay, that
everybody says like 80 or 90, but we never explore that or have a conversation about it. Why is that? That's just, I mean, it's one of those universal truths.
Folder, if you like, that I've got on my computer.
I get stuck with this all the time, guys.
I know. And Izzy, listening to your podcast, this is where you all of a sudden go silent.
Or Izzy just kind of goes. Izzy dropped off, and then me and Joel just figured out we can finally talk about this stuff.
This was the disassociation point that we were talking about earlier with you in the podcast. There, Izzy. It's just where you kind of shut down and go, I'm not going to be a part of this.
I was just trying to give an example. That's all. So people,
it's awesome. It really is awesome when Izzy drops off because he goes off for 30 to 20 minutes, whatever. And Mike and I come up with the just weirdest, nastiest stuff to say. And then Izzy's like, what are you guys talking about? And we're like, yeah, pocket holes. And so then he's like, oh, the episode must be fine. And then like 3 months later, he's listening to it. He goes, guys, you can't say that. Where was I?
Now we give him a hard time constantly because he doesn't promote us on his Instagram and stuff. He's like, have you heard the show?
He's like, I'm not going to mention I'm there.
Yeah, I'm hiding from this as much as I can. You're out of your mind.
It's not helping. It's not working. But no hiding it.
It's helping. This is your therapy session once a week.
This is called kicking your respectability to the curb. It's like, sorry.
Well, and the funny part is like we don't, like I say, the schedule. I mean, we get to the point where all of a sudden I'll get a message from Izzy, and he'll be like, "Hey guys, I miss you. We need to record today." And I mean, that's like that's very really the reason that we'll be online at some points. Just hey guys, what are you doing? I haven't talked to you in a while. We need to record tonight. And then I'll be like, oh, okay. Then I'll tell my family, hey, I need a couple of hours alone. My wife's like, yeah, I heard that before. So,
a couple of hours. I only need 15 minutes.
She's like, you're on the internet with guys again, aren't you? I'm like, it's not like that. Jesus.
There was actually I'm going
to go to Georgia and see my friends that I met on the internet. She's like, you're going to have to talk to somebody. There's something very wrong with you.
You need your own special kind of therapy, I think. But kind of keeping with the therapy thing there, Mike, you talk about the messages that you've had from people regarding some of the stuff you've talked about. There's actually a comment. I don't know if you've seen this or anyone's seen it. There's a comment in the chat. I won't say who, because this will go wider than just this particular forum. But somebody's literally saying that, talking about mental health issues, particularly in men, it is important. And actually that your podcast has helped that person, which is, it's just another one of those reinforcing things that it doesn't have to be all about the serious stuff, or all the kind of the polished things. Because I think the danger of editing things out is, I will leave that out. We won't put that in for whatever reason, but you're potentially missing helping somebody there.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, we actually the episode I did, I think it was at 48, which I really I went off sort of the deep end on. Like after the episode, I just went downstairs in my house and sat there and cried for a little while. I was just like, I can't believe I talked about that. And then I listened to it again, and when I was getting ready to edit it, and I was like, it's the silence of this stuff kills people, like very really kills people. And had I not known other people in my life that had been through things like this, that had found their way out of them, I mean, it would have killed me. And so I mean, it's to know that there is hope. There's an opportunity for you to get better. For and one thing about me is I have I don't like to brag about myself too much. For those of you that heard this.
Oh, shut up! Right. Nobody believes that laugh. You move on.
One thing that's great about me.
Everything. Just one.
No, one thing that it's just great about the show. I was going to make it about me, but I can hear the eyes rolling. But no, it's just we try to take a humorous slant to all of that stuff. It's because you got to be able to laugh at it. It's and I think that people, when they hear me joke about it, they understand that it's serious, and it's something that needs to be dealt with, but it's also something that you can make a joke about. Like it's. You can get past it, and you can be better because of it. And, I mean, it's not that serious, especially after you've been through things, I mean, it's everything in the rear view looks a lot, it's a lot easier to go, oh, wow, I've been through that, than it is to, when you're driving through it. So it's,
but it takes time. Absolutely. It does take time to get to the point where you can actually sit back and laugh about it. I mean, because I remember, tragedies and, bad luck happened to all of us. And I recall, I very vividly recall the episode you guys did after Joel came back to the podcast after he had the fire that he had. And that is not an experience anybody wants to ever go through. And Joel, you handled that amazingly well. I don't mind telling you, my friend.
Well, it was I'll tell you what, I stand by everything I said at it. It was a very emotional time. All of our belongings, luckily nobody was hurt. I always have to put that caveat on there because everybody's like, well, thank God nobody was hurt. Right. But it was, it was devastating enough, even without that. And I felt like it was something that we could talk about and learn from, and maybe give some a starting point to people have conversations like that, because there's been a number of people that have come up to me, and by God, I don't know how many people have told me now. I think we're in the dozens of saying, hey, I had a fire at some point in my life. And that's a real external thing. Like if you're like, there are much worse things that you carry with you in your life things that are done to you.
Yeah.
You know, but it was an interesting experience. We're still dealing with it now. And it's made for an interesting episode.
Well, it takes time to talk about it. I mean, you know, you have to process that in your own head before you're actually able to come out and do it. And I don't know, and if you guys agree with this or not. I mean, because I mean, Richard, Joe, Jamie, and I mean, this podcast has become more of a. I don't want to quantify it like this, but I do want to say that to some extent, it is a certain therapy for me, because I am able to speak to these guys who I know and who are my friends, and then I know I can open up to. And I don't have a neighbor, I don't have friends around my area that I can actually do so with. And so being able to get together with them on a weekly basis, and even if it's just talking about the rubbish we normally talk about, it actually does help. It helps get, you know, it's one of those things that it's almost I'm doing it for myself. So if somebody else likes it, then that's great. But, you know, I really don't care. So I don't, you know, because this is good for me. And it seems like you guys have that same kind of dynamic going with you, because it's just a matter of, you got 3 friends sitting around who are able to talk about whatever they want. And if people want to listen, fine. If they don't, then who cares?
Yeah,
one of the things that I found that especially after doing my spotlight, I don't know if Joe and Richards are the same, was obviously when I mentioned having the epilepsy and all that sort of stuff. And I, right at the very end of the show, I basically said, if anyone wants to reach out and talk about it, blah, 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 then feel free to contact me. Well, I went to my inbox like the next day, and there was 4 or 5 messages there, you know, of people wanting to say, look, I suffer with the same, and I have done for years, and I'm getting letters through the post of people saying the exact same thing, and it's kind of like, well, I never would have heard of it if I hadn't have actually said something. Do you know what I mean? And the funny thing is, I spent years in this community and kind of refused to say anything.
Right.
And out of nowhere, Chris kind of put me on the spot, if you like, which I'm actually thankful that he did. You know, because it was kind of like, come on, what you scared of? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like we're a family at the end of the day, and I was just kind of like, you know what, bugger it. There you go. Everyone knows now. Everyone knows.
And we are. It's just that, you know, when you release information like that, you got to know that, you know, within a month's time. I mean, this community has its standards. They're not very high, but we have our standards. And like a month later, somebody is going to come back and bite you in the ass with what you just said. But it will be with nothing but love. Yeah.
And also to add, sorry, Joe. I was going to say, just to add to that, not only is it, you know, difficult for anyone to talk about, you know, personal issues, whatever they are, whatever the topic, within the sort of the people that like to make things, it's a fairly solitary hobby. Now, I know a lot of people have said to me, you know, I use making as a kind of therapy to deal with X, Y, and Z. But when you're comfortable being on your own, when you're comfortable just being in your own head, I think it becomes more difficult to, or rather, it becomes easier to keep those things within. Whereas if you're that sort of outward person that's just constantly it sort of potentially gets blurted out at some point. Whereas, you know, Jamie's not necessarily that kind of person, and not, you know.
No, it is. And
it was kind of like a pressure valve, if you like, and Chris was kind of like the release valve, you know. The boiler was just building up pressure, and then Chris was kind of like the release valve by putting me on the spot, and it was just kind of like, psst, there you go. And then as soon as I basically said what the deal was, the pressure was gone. Everyone knows now. Do you know what I mean? I didn't have to hold it in no more.
And the best thing that you can make is, you know, is a difference. And when you have a platform and an opportunity to, you know, to reach out to people, then, you know, you can really make a difference. I mean, you can, something like that, even if you just know you're not alone, you know, it really gives you the opportunity to have a very meaningful impact in, even if it's just one person, you know, you can make a big difference. And that really should be that should be the goal, right? I mean,
I will
applaud you for having the balls to say it, dude. That's, you know, that's a tough one.
You know, the podcast that we put on, the overwhelming theme of it, whether we're talking about something technical or we're talking something that has to deal with emotional wellness, is that we talk about family and the family that we've put together in this community. That is, I think, above all else, is the main topic on the whiteboard. And if you are hiding something, or if you feel uncomfortable sharing something because you're afraid you're going to lose the family, then you probably don't have the family you think you do. I would tell anybody, if they have something that they feel vulnerable about, if they feel that they're hiding for the sake of appearances, this is a pretty darn forgiving group. There's not one of us here that hasn't gone through a world of trouble and made really bad bobblehead decisions. So,
No idea what you're talking about.
And you know, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Joe.
I'm just saying, if there's a group ever that you could say, hey, I suffer from epilepsy, there are times that I'm not going to be available because I have to deal with this, or Mike saying, hey, I had a pretty rotten childhood at pretty specific moments, and there's some things that I'm emotionally unavailable for, and I'm still working on those things. Or when I say, hey, I'm a dick, and you're just going to have to live with that, then you kind of have to accept me at my own terms. And you can set those rules and those boundaries. Now, it doesn't mean everybody in the world's going to think you're their best friend, but you do get a lot of people that saying, oh, hey, I'm also a dick. Would you like to have a beer?
No one has ever said that.
Or at least
no, nobody's actually ever said that. I'm hoping so.
Or at least a T-shirt that says "Don't be one,"
or at least a T-shirt that says. So I understand that everybody has their doubts, and sometimes their doubts manifest medically or emotionally or physically. This isn't that group. Come out, talk to us about it. If those are the things that you're interested in relieving yourself of, I promise you there are plenty of people here that will be like, oh, well, you too? Duh. I've had that for 32 years.
Right.
I would have no doubt any time that you would get much more positive response, just like Jamie, than you would in a negative way.
Well, it's like you know what, and the surprising rebound effect that you get from sharing that kind of information with people, where you probably, or you're dropping your total guard, and you're saying, okay, guys, here's the secret I've been harboring for all these times that I'm going to let you know about. I'm not really comfortable doing so, but after you do it, and maybe Mike, maybe Jamie can respond to this as well. After you've done that, it's like there's a monkey that is off your back. You're no longer carrying around that secret that you are trying to protect to anybody. You've exposed yourself, and it leaves you vulnerable. But like you mentioned, Joel, in this community, only for a moment, because there are people out there that are going to go, you know what, dude, that's awesome that you first of all shared it, and there's going to be a ton of people going, you know what, I feel the same way, and I've had the same problem. So I'm glad you brought that up. I feel better with myself because you have.
Hey, by the way, let me just say that our podcast is not a therapy show.
No.
Just for the people who are listening, like that happens to be some of the topics that we talk about, but it's mostly jokes about the silly things and this.
Mostly jokes about exposing ourselves. At Walmart.
Yeah. Good on my lappy page, Dr. Dick.
No, I don't. All right, we can get off this topic if you want. It was getting a little heavy, but
it's a good topic, and you shouldn't be afraid to. I just don't want anybody to think that hasn't heard our show that we always do is, all right, let's cue up the
now with Dr. Mike. Just sit back.
Let's cue up the cigarette burns on the bottom of the feet. Ready? We don't do that, but
we do talk about, and again, I will reiterate that we talk about the family of the community, and sometimes that leads us into pretty dark topics that are very poignant. Sometimes that just means we have a lot of dick jokes. There's no way around it. It's yin and the yang.
That's the definition of friendship, though. And I think that's the best way to typically describe the podcast. It's like we listening in to a friendship conversation, and it will go down that route of dirty, obscure humor, but then also bringing in the themes that you don't really feel too comfortable about talking about. But I find that the online community keeps that disconnect, that we do feel more open in a way, because we're not talking to our mate who's sitting right next to us, or talking to our family that we've got to live with every day. These are people that are literally a button click away that you can shut out if you need to. So if you want to take that step back, you can take that step back and know that I'm always there for you when you do need your time to vent, have an argument, just throw things out there. I'm always there. And being able to listen to your guys' podcast it keeps you included. You don't have to say anything. You're literally just listening, but you're included as well, and that's what's fantastic about it.
And likewise, if you want to take the step forward as well, I mean, I was party to several conversations that Make Essential with people, where little things like, someone would say, "Oh, I was really nervous. I nearly didn't come. I was very nervous. I get really awkward in sort of big social gatherings and things like that." And then somebody else would be like, "Oh my God, I was exactly the same. I was nervous," and then you end up kind of getting over it almost on some level. And there were loads and loads and loads of conversations about people with similar kind of apprehensions and nervousness that it just lifted. These online people that were, the day before a click away, and now a click away in the opposite direction as well. And that's all brought about from
the strangest feeling I had when I was because we just did the Georgia show not that long ago, and it was people walking up to me that were actually like, "Oh, hey, oh my God, you're Mike Laffey. I listen to your podcast," and you apologize, and then you try to walk away because there's obviously something very wrong with this person. But
down to make sure they're not armed.
Yeah, but the weirdest experience is like here's someone that you've never talked to, you don't know who they are, but they know you. And it's like, and then that's very sort of that was one of the takeaways from the show that it's very weird to run into someone and meet someone, and this is someone you've just met for the first time, but this is someone that knows you very intimately, just because they listen, and it's like that's a very weird experience, and it took me a minute to kind of get used to that, as these people just coming up out of nowhere, and they're like, "Oh, hey, dude, look," and they're carrying on a conversation, and you're like, "Did I know this guy in high school? I mean, why is this? What happened here?" And then you're like, "Oh yeah, I talk to this guy every week for an hour. Like, he doesn't talk to me, so for me on the other end of this, it's a little bit different. I have to get caught up. But for this dude, I mean, he's just having a conversation with a guy, one of his buddies that he listens to once a week, and it's like it's a very strange feeling. So it took a minute to get used to that."
Well, speaking of strange feelings, I mean, let me go back a little bit and translate for Izzy. Izzy, when Joe was talking, he was basically saying he likes your podcast. I just want to translate for, because I know Joel's not. I mean, Joe's.
I was listening to David Gray all day. I understood it. I got it. I heard him.
I need to keep a thumbs up if I'm saying something good, and then so you get an idea.
Right. No, I got it.
You want the little Facebook thing, like on a bit of card on a rod, so you can just
get them emojis on a stick.
No, I got my speakers all fixed, so you came through 5x5. We're good.
Brilliant.
Very, very phallic table, though.
I mean, Izzy, I can hear him too, but sometimes I have no clue. I just figured I caught that one, so I'd share. Anyway,
well, he's the cutest guy in the podcast. I've had him up on my screen staring at him the whole time. That's why I've been smirking the whole time. So,
Joe, don't pick your nose, okay?
we actually had a question from the Red Smith. He wants to know how I'm guessing this is for both podcasts. He says, "How would you like to celebrate your 100th episode if anything was possible?"
Full male nudity.
Well, if
we do that
okay,
anyway.
If it was okay with Mrs. Laffey, then I don't know. Is this R-rated? This podcast?
I think it is now.
Yeah. The guys in Reclaimed Audio did a celebration of their 100th, and I think Izzy was a part of that, but I can't.
Thank you. God, I love you, Joel.
Anything they do, I think we want to do the opposite of. So we probably won't commemorate any of our, milestone episodes just because they did. So.
Just miss.
No, I think we will, but it'll be like our 74th podcast or something like that.
I'm thinking of skipping it, just going right from 99 to 101, just to be that guy.
You've got to make it the 69th. Come on.
We'll just do the 100 episode of an hour of Joel's crickets playing out back.
Could be. Well, so weirdly enough, our timing for the 100th should be right around Baker Central 2.0.
Mm.
So
that would be awesome.
I'm just saying.
Izzy, get your application in for the passport now.
Yeah.
No.
Let me help
Love me tender, love me true.
Let me
I'm
help
gonna
you.
go the week after.
That's what one looks like when you eventually get it. Okay.
Izzy,
Yeah.
Izzy, if it's about the plane, we'll get you a boat.
No,
You know,
If
Christopher
they want to do a
said
full
it,
body
you're gonna be
cavity
fine.
search, just go for it. You're going to be about that age.
I'd
you gotta
enjoy
get
that.
this
I don't know
done.
what you're talking about.
You can't pay for that kind of thing.
Yeah, you can.
Do you have
Yeah,
to dip
yeah.
them after?
Joe, you know what's funny about that is that when this whole thing first came up, and Izzy said he was going, I said I was going, and I think Izzy and I, God, this was like almost a year ago. Izzy, we had a conversation about how he didn't want to fly. I actually looked into boats. Boats aren't cheap to take over to the England. It's
No.
like, I went,
The
okay,
RMS
Izzy,
Titanic. What do you
Yeah.
know? Why is it so expensive?
it's like, why should I not do this? And my bank account told me why.
Yeah. I'm going to start saving now because a first class flight to London is like $5,800.
It's not cheap. It's not cheap.
God, dude. Maybe you should lose like I don't know, like 200 pounds, and you can go as like chattel.
Yeah.
Just stick you in an overhead bin. That might be something to look forward to.
If I lose every ounce of fat on me, I'll still weigh 250 pounds. It's not just a big
It'll
dude.
still be delicious.
I know. But I'll be a flabby delicious.
Oh my
Big
God,
flappy.
Mike speaks
Southern-
about you like you're bacon.
Hey, he smells like Lindbergher and Southern Comfort. It's like it's a waft
When you-
of man like you've
When
never
you got
had
it,
before.
you got it. That's all there is to it. I'm telling you.
Mm-mm.
There's
Spray
a,
that on me, big guy.
Hey,
so
Sorry, I keep forgetting the international people are very
I wanna-
polite.
quick shout out to I usually have like the chat sections opens when I'm on podcasts so I can see what's going on in the chat room. I apologize to you guys. I'm on a one of these Wi-Fi dealy. I'm on 4G, so I can't open up two windows at once. So for all of you guys over in the chat section, thank you very much for tuning in and listening to our nonsense. We love you guys. Much appreciated. And thank you very much for having us on, guys. That's really very generous of you to give us the platform and share us with your audience at your own peril. So
we better get a bump in numbers, or this is going to be. I'm going to be really pissed. We spent our time doing this on.
You're expecting a bump in numbers from us. Okay, good luck with that.
I want to get to 17. I want 17 subscribers by Sunday.
it seems we've got a request. We've got to do a podcast called International Fools with Too Much Audio.
Jeez.
Maybe.
Maybe too
Maybe.
much audio.
Why do they
Yes.
so hard? This is the question.
Maybe I become reclaimed international. I have no idea, or something silly like that. Okay, whatever.
I can't even work out in my head how that would just.
It would be more of a train wreck than this has been, and it would be absolutely.
You just don't let us do the mic setup. That's all. After that one live shot,
You just set an egg timer and give everybody 3 minutes.
Yeah, as long as we're not doing it live, we'll be okay. Oh man. Anyway, Richard, you guys. Well, thank you for coming on with us. I do appreciate it. I mean, it's awesome of you guys to spend your Sunday afternoon with these, us jerks.
Yeah, because everyone else cancelled. Then no one else was interested. So
I
you
lost
really
the
got
bet,
us out
so
of
I
a
had
hole
to be
here.
here.
Yeah. We lost the bet.
Yeah, this is reclaimed audio guys flipped heads. So here we are.
Oh, just face it. You weren't willing to contribute to the Patreon, so they didn't want you.
Oh, we contribute. I think we are the Patreon.
Was this one of your rewards then?
We're buying
Wait
TMO.
a minute. Do you guys announce all your Patreon supporters at the beginning of your show?
We don't have it. We don't have a Patreon.
Oh, you don't?
No.
We
Well-
have shout outs every week. And it's very easy. Easy to get a shout out. You just literally have to interact with us. And I don't think anyone's worked that out after how many episodes, Chris?
Oh God, I don't know. What was this? This is 130. We're up into like
Loads.
the 90s. We're getting close to our 100 for crying out loud. That's
I found the easiest way is just to crap all over you on one of our shows, and then Jamie takes me to task. So, I'll keep that formula going.
I've kind of noticed that, Mike, and I don't want to hold it against you, but you can leave now, like forever.
Hey, Believe me, it's the way our fans want you mentioned. You don't want me to come out and say something glowing about you. They think you're pederasts or something.
All right,
it's better if I just crap all over you.
How do we
Better for your
eject this?
reputation that way.
Wait a minute. I have the option to eject this SOB, don't I? Can I just get him out of here?
Don't do me any favors.
It will block him.
Set me free.
Izzy, Joel, we love you. Mike, I don't know why you're here.
Yeah, what you're doing.
We feel the same way.
Good thing I didn't put pants on.
That's right.
I'm assuming it's Mike that does all the editing stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
We don't edit.
We don't edit.
There's no editing. It's, yeah. I add the intro and then I hit encode and it goes online. That's it.
Awesome.
One shot takes.
It's something. Wow, you guys actually edit this?
No, that's what. No. Actually, this is going to come out on YouTube. That's exactly the same way we've done it right now. And so, for everybody listening to us on Wednesday when it's re-released, we apologize. it's like Mike and his podcast. And as always, we're sorry.
It's like Chris. It's like you've taken my role in our podcast. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry.
I will
Izzy
deflect
does that.
as much
I
as I
don't know what I'm
possibly
doing
can.
here. That's the Izzy. That's his role. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Oh God!
No, and it doesn't matter.
Twice,
Listen to the
blink
podcast
twice if you're being held against your will.
No, I'll go like a half an hour without saying a word sometimes just to see what happens. Like I'll just stop talking, and it doesn't matter. So
Because you're hammered and you pass out.
no,
Actually, that was really funny because what I hear is when Izzy's completely silent and when Mike takes a breath, rare, I just hear ice chinking on the glass. And I'm like, oh, Izzy's still alive. He hasn't fallen asleep on us.
Or you're
No, we couldn't do it. We couldn't do it without Izzy. Izzy's amazing.
No,
Izzy drops in. You know what it is? He drops in and he says the most profound that it like we're all bumbling over the words, and Izzy like comes in and says 5 words, and all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, that should be on a t-shirt.
yeah, and then I just fill the hour.
And then Mike does all the hard labor.
Yeah. I'm like,
And
oh
then
God. Are we really only 7 minutes in?
T-shirt.
speaking of filling an hour, I think we filled more than an hour today.
Plenty more than an hour. I mean, Joe's going to have a little bit of editing to do, no doubt, just to take out Mike. And
Yeah, you're only gonna have about a 9-minute show. That was going to be the only problem.
do you guys do shout outs in your podcast? Anything that stands
God,
out?
no,
for
we
you?
hate everyone.
No.
Yeah, well, we do. So we're kind of expecting you to do a shout out for somebody if you have got someone. If you haven't, then is anyone else?
I'll go first because that way I can stop talking. But Alex Bull Halfpenny of Alex's Shack.
Al's Hack Shack.
Yes, I love that man. Every time I say something stupid, he immortalizes it in a T-shirt. So yeah, we just wanted to say thank you to him for the last one he did with the Ninja. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
And he does send me messages constantly talking about how my voice has changed his manhood and other things. I don't know what that means, but thanks, Alex. I'm not sure when the hair started growing on the chest, but part of the reason. So
Al, for your sake, I hope he just made that up. Anyway, go ahead.
is that how you guys do the shout outs, by the way? I wasn't
That's fine with me. Hey, Mike, for you that works. Go ahead. Izzy, you got anybody you're watching or doing anything with, or sitting back and admiring, or are you just kind of like trying to get your shit together?
I
don't know if you can see that, but that's Alex. He sent me a video of Izzy with a bobblehead.
It's a video.
I think it's doing the rounds.
I can't do it.
All right. Well, on behalf of this podcast, Izzy, I apologize for the fact that it's actually going to be live.
I am used to the abuse. I've been living with it my whole life.
Oh, I'm just saying, I'm divorcing myself of it. That's all.
Right. I don't really have anything I want, any particular person I have to shout out, but I do want to say to everyone these events that we've been talking about Maker Central, Maker Fair, the woodworking shows in Atlanta with, and other places where everybody gets together. If you have an opportunity to get to one of these, don't shy away from it. Do everything you can to get there. they are events that you will make friends at that we are irreplaceable. You will be lifelong friends. You will experience things that you cannot experience any other place, and you'll experience a type of camaraderie and a feeling of kinship that is just unequaled. So get there, get your butts there. Don't be shy. Stick out your hand, shake somebody's hand, and become part of the that event because they are amazing.
Yeah, cheers to that.
And I promised everybody over in the UK I will make it over there. In fact, there's some talk in the background about me doing a couple of weeks tour over there with the help of some people over and doing maybe even some video content stuff from there. So hopefully we'll see that come to fruition in the next 11 months or so. But back to the events, guys. If you get a chance, go. Just don't avoid it. Do everything you can. Save your pennies now. Pick up cans, rob banks, whatever you have to do to get there.
but take more than bobbleheads if you do.
And don't take advice from part-time podcasters. So,
that's true.
That's not true anymore, by the way.
Right, that's not.
Joel,
That's all
what
I
about
got.
you, buddy?
Well, you know what? I've got two people that I'd like to give a shout out. Huge fans of ours on the show, big supporters. Megan and Harry. Want to congratulate you guys on your recent wedding. Big fans that support us, and
They are.
and thanks for being there.
Do they have a YouTube channel or anything like that we can link in the description?
I think they're on several of them.
LennyKravitz.com I think.
Or Hotel California. You take your pick.
What nobody knows is that they were wearing, maybe I said too much, podcast undergarments.
Yeah, they were.
Wedding, so yeah.
There was the military dress and of course the white dress, and it's tough because most of our t-shirts come out in black, so she had to do a lot of heavy makeup.
Yeah.
Harry was wearing a t-shirt that said, "Don't be a dick."
That's right.
Hey, I don't want to live in a world where that can't be true.
He gifted it to Prince Philip before the ceremony.
I may not be a ninja, but I can still cut you with my sword.
Yes.
Hey, dude, does the royalty over there have like assassins like we do here in the U.S. so they can just like pick up the phone and say, "Go kill this guy"?
I'm sure
Well,
I
wonder you're
there's
not allowed to
rumours.
that video that I done.
I think it's more paparazzi than assassins.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, we're not
I'm not
famous
gonna
enough for
comment.
that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Paparazzi kill Princess Di, so I don't, whatever. Anyway.
I'm just saying, the
I was
headline
wondering
is
when
not
that
going
was
to
gonna
be.
come up.
Yeah. The headline isn't going to be good enough for part-time, podcaster killed in car accident is not going to be one of those things.
Yeah.
I can see red sirens going off all over walls inside MI5 right now.
Right now.
How many trigger words have we said?
So, by the way, Joe, we have to add a shout out section to ours because this is spectacular.
This is entirely too much fun.
I like this. This is a train wreck that's more exciting than it should be.
Dumpster fire happening inside of a train wreck. The greatest.
Thank you guys for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. And
Oh, the pleasure is yours.
to continue on with this, derailment, my shout out this week, like you, Mike, goes to Al's Hack Shack, and it was and it wasn't for something as stupid as this dumb podcast T-shirt. It was actually because he put together a really cool video of people thanking a gentleman who deserved a big thanking. He did a video. He coordinated some of the maker community that went to Makers Central. And put out a video of guys just thanking Nick Zametti for actually putting the effort and his team putting the effort into that. So, Al, I'm sorry I couldn't have participated myself, but I was traveling, and then when I got home, my power was out for 3 days, so there was no way for me to get it to you. But I mean, congratulations on an awesome video because that was well deserved. So that's my shout out for this week.
Do you need a second, Joe, or are you good to go?
I'm good to go.
Okay.
So we've had 2 shout outs for Al's Hack Shack so far. Let's make it a third. Hack Shack. He put out a fantastic video. I'm you a Hack Shacker. Now, I've got 2 shout outs because I also want to mention Brett's video from Skull and Spade. He did his 10K subscriber and also kind of like channel trailer, all based on train spotting. While watching those 2 videos, it's just like opened my eyes to a different way to look at editing. And it's really inspired me. So especially if you're a content creator yourself, make sure you watch those videos because it really get you thinking outside the box, and it's bound to inspire. But them just a piece of artwork in itself. So if you can get a chance to watch them, they'll be linked in the description down below. Make sure you check them out. Fantastic videos.
Yeah, I saw that Al's his rock and roller parody. That was freaking awesome, man.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was awesome.
What about Jamie? Have you got any shout-outs, Jamie?
Well, I'm going to have 2 shout-outs now. One of them's going to be Al's Hack Shack just for the sake of it.
Because everybody else is climbing on that bus. Why the hell not?
Yeah. The other one is going to be Jim Overton from Jimson's stuff. I don't really want to say much about what he actually made, but it's basically a hybrid blank lamp. Kind of looks like the gherkin in London, or the pickle from the people in the States. It's kind of hollowed out a log and then cast it inside resin, clear resin. And I don't know, it just looks really, really cool because it's like the bark of it's still got the bark on the inside, you know. So the log, it goes straight out the middle of clear resin, and then it's all illuminated up around the bottom, and it kind of, I don't know, it looks like it's underwater or so. You know, it's really, 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 really nice. So yeah, it's Jim Overton.
Oh, awesome! All right.
Do you know, I haven't seen that one. I will. It sounds really interesting, and I'm going to go and find that. In fact, I don't even think I'm subscribed to Jim's channel. I better sort that out now. Sorry, Jim.
What's new about that, Richard?
Never admit to that.
You know,
what about you,
Richard? Don't feel bad. I haven't watched a YouTube video in 4 months. I don't think so. You're okay, buddy.
Just nice to know you're putting them back on again.
Where do you find the time? That's just mad.
It's sometimes you can't.
Well, I know where you found the time for your shout out today, Richard.
Well, yeah, I've pretty much got no choice. Well, no, that's not true at all. But it kind of follows on actually from.
Oh, yo, come on, shout now.
You're sleeping on the couch tonight, buddy.
probably in the garden if I'm lucky. No, mine kind of follows on from actually something that Joe picked up on about Brett and Al's videos, because of looking at them in a different way of filming and different way of editing and all the rest of it. Because Kat has just released yesterday her first video on her YouTube channel, which was a direct result of Maker Central and meeting loads of people and having conversations with people. And she's one of at least 4 people that have done that and now put out videos and started up channels and all the rest of it.
Well, let's clarify, because if you're not familiar, Kat is Richard's better half.
Much better half.
There you go. Okay, there you go. All right.
Just
wanted to tie that in as to why you're sleeping on the couch tonight. Go ahead.
In the garden. Probably with the dog if I'm lucky. So
Got a lot, puppy.
She's put this new video out. It's just an introduction to her workspace, and it sort of tells a story about how she's going to lead into her channel as well, which, again, it's like I'm saying, leads back into different ways of filming and different ways of editing. So it's worth watching. So yeah, cool. That's my shout out for this week. I think that probably wraps up. I mean, we've gone way over an hour and a half. Sorry, Joe, but it was fun. So don't worry, we won't have one again. It'll be all right.
You don't have to do these for an hour. You don't pay by the hour. I don't think. I'm not sure how that works. Maybe it's different in Europe. Maybe the metric time is different somehow.
No, it's pretty much boiled down to that's about as long as we can handle you for.
Yeah, well,
I get that. I can't stand myself for more than 10 minutes, so I can't imagine
his wife does
an hour.
the same thing.
Well, typically we keep it at an hour, Mike, just because we're pretty much sick of each other after that hour. It's like, please wrap it up.
Aww, you guys are so cute.
Thanks. Yeah, all right. I've never heard that before. Anyway, go ahead.
Cool. So yeah, that pretty much does, I think, wrap everything up in a relatively neat bow with the train wreck and the fire and the smoke and all the rest of it. So if nobody else has got anything they need to add, thank you to everyone who is still listening, and that's pretty much everyone actually. Looking at the numbers on the screen, it sounds like most people are still here. How does that even work? I really don't know. But anyway, I'm not here next week, so you'll be glad to hear. Probably get more numbers. I don't know whether Joe or Jamie or Chris are going to take over. So it looks like Joe is. So on your head be it.
By the way, if you want, I can host.
You're all right, Mike. Well,
Hell no.
And gentlemen, maybe I've gone international.
Welcome to Makers International Podcast.
Maybe
what's happening?
maybe I actually won't have 100% attendance.
So Tony Orlando mustache of the internet. Yeah.
Well, actually, Mike, I mean, give you a bit of abuse there, but you're kind of my replacement, aren't you?
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Just association.
I love you. I love you all. Keep on rocking the maker world. Have a great rest of your Sunday. I don't know.
Something.
Yeah, something.
It's all good. So, yeah, thanks for listening. If you still are, if you're not, we'll say rude things about you. From me, cheerio. From everyone else.
Thanks,
Have a
guys.
great week. Have a great week, everybody.
Everybody.